Hi sailors, welcome back to Cruising as Crew. My name is Lucy and today we're going to discuss whether you really have to be older to enjoy a Cunard cruise. So I have just got off my first ever Cunard cruise, and being British, going on a Cunard cruise is something I have always wanted to try. So I'm so happy that I got to experience it. So I took my friend Billy, who I have been friends with since I was like 16. We met in a pub, how all great British friendships start. And this Cunard cruise was 5 days. So we left from Southampton, had a sea day, got to Hamburg, had another sea day, and then we're back in Southampton. And it was a really good amount of time. I probably wouldn't have wanted to do any longer, but we'll discuss that more further into the video. So as I said, we joined the cruise ship in Southampton, and I must say Embarkation day was as smooth as butter. From arriving to getting on the ship, it was probably 10 minutes. I mean, we literally went in, checked in, they took our photo, and we were on board the ship. It was one of the smoothest embarkations I have ever had. Now, the cruise ship that we went on was the Queen Victoria, and oh my gosh, was it beautiful. You step on board and regal is really the only word that comes to mind. It is just elegant, classy, but also quiet, which I guess shocked me. Obviously, as you guys know who've watched for a while, I worked on Virgin Voyages, then Disney Cruise Line, and then Royal Caribbean. So when you embark those cruise ships, it's very much like, we're gonna have a good time. And it's very loud, there's a lot of loud music, but when you step on board the Queen Victoria, it isn't. There was a beautiful harpist playing in the background. The vibe was just very different to what I was expecting due to my previous embarkation experiences. And I really did feel relaxed as soon as I stepped on board. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I really enjoyed the initial vibe when you get on board. I really love that it's not like in your face party, but obviously every cruise line does it different, which is why, you know, there are so many cruise lines. Now, I paid £900 for this cruise. That was a guaranteed cabin fare, and that got me and my friend Billy an inside cabin. Now, as you can see by the footage, we were upgraded to a disability cabin. Actually, I don't know, that's not an upgrade. But it sure felt like an upgrade because obviously there's so much more room in a disability access cabin, and I'm not gonna lie, it was amazing. Now, I didn't ask for a disability access cabin for obvious reasons, but it was very, very nice. And bearing in mind, I said the embarkation took about 10 to 15 minutes. Our bags were already at the cabin when we got there, which I was gobsmacked about. I was like, we literally left them like half an hour ago because we got on board and had a quick like wander around the ship. So the fact that within half an hour our bags were at the cabin was absolutely nuts. So I unpacked a little bit, got acquainted with the cabin, which was amazing. I was really happy with the storage. Me and Billy both had a wardrobe with a good amount of hangers. Now, in true Lucy fashion, of course, I took my own coat hangers because I always expect that there will be like 3 in each wardrobe. But I was very surprised that there was, you know, a good amount of hangers. Now, if you are going on a world cruise, then take your own hangers because 10 probably isn't going to be enough. But for a 5-day cruise, I actually could have got away with not taking any, which is never normally the case. So in the cabin we had a tea and coffee station, and I was also really impressed with the plug sockets. They didn't have any USB sockets, but it's the Queen Victoria, it's an older ship, it's an older clientele. Not to say that older clientele do not have USB wires. Because it's an older ship, they're not going to have the modern features, and to have USB plugs is a more modern feature, so that is something that you're going to find on the newer ships. However, if I hadn't have taken an adapter, or I actually took like 5 adapters, I would have been fine because there was every type of plug. A universal adapter is an investment well worth getting. Mine broke just before the cruise, which is why I had to take 5 different adapters. Like I said, if you cruise a lot, then get yourself an adapter. Now, the decor of the cabin was traditional, I'm going to say. It didn't feel like old, it just felt traditional cruising, which is the vibe of the whole ship, really. The beds were amazing, so comfortable. But I have to say, my favourite thing, I suppose it's not about the cabin, but my favourite thing was every morning we would have a paper compass on the end of our beds. I didn't have to go on the app to see what was going on. Cunard don't have an app because, you know, they target the older passenger and typically they're not a fan of the apps. And you know what, neither am I, if I'm honest. I really loved the fact that we had a paper schedule. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And when we got in our cabin, the safety video was playing, as it usually is now on cruise ships. That's kind of how they do things, basically instructing us to go to our muster station when we had chance. So we did a little unpack and then walked over to our muster station, where I actually met Sandra, who watched my videos. So it was amazing to meet her. And I met quite a few of you while I was on board, and it's always just so wonderful to like meet you guys, meet the people who watch my videos, because obviously right now it's just me talking to a camera, so it's really cool to kind of put a face to like, oh, there's someone on the other end of this. I am so sorry if you have noticed a change in quality. I've just had to change to my phone because my camera is just not having it. It just doesn't want to cooperate. Anyway, so let's talk about the entertainment now. So the entertainment is the thing, I don't want to say anxious, but it was the thing that I was most interested to see, because as you can imagine, the entertainment is geared up for an older clientele. So I was like, I don't know what they're going to do to kind of keep everyone entertained. So just like you'll find on most ships, they had quizzes, they had bingo. They actually did a fencing class, which I really wanted to go to, but it completely slipped my mind and I missed it, but hey ho. But everyone who did go to the fencing class was like, it was amazing. They had a lot of live music, so even like throughout the day, there were spots around the ship that you could find either quiet live music, or there was an amazing band that played. There was a watercolour art class, which was really cool. I went to that and that was just really nice. We didn't like paint anything amazing, but she was just teaching us like how to mix the colours and how to get the best out of your watercolour paint. Throughout the sea days, they had lectures going on, and also they did a few interviews with the cast members. I asked the crew members and they said that the interview with the cast members is actually something that Cunard passengers ask for. They really enjoy kind of the Q&A side of things with the cast members. So I went to that. That was really cool to see, and they were just explaining, the rehearsal process before they get on board and everything that goes into being a cast member on board a cruise ship, basically. And as you can imagine, there was a massive focus on dancing. So every day there was a dance class. It was ballroom dancing, Latin, tap, salsa. Like there was some kind of dance class every single day in the Queen's room, which was wonderful. And I loved it actually, because there was a lot of young couples who were obviously, I don't mean to sound mean, but they hadn't danced before, or if they had, not much. And they were learning how to ballroom dance or how to do salsa. And obviously you're not going to become an expert, but it's a really nice little introduction to see if that's something that you like, and maybe you want to like keep learning when you get home. And then of course in the evening you were able to put these dance classes into practice. So they would have the big band on again in the Queen's room, and people could either use the skills they learnt in the classes that day, or if they are avid dancers, which there were many avid dancers on Cunard, they could get up and have a little dance with their partner. And again, it was just wonderful to see. I don't know about you, I love watching couples dance. I think it's so romantic and so lovely. So even though I was not dancing, I was sat watching with a huge smile on my face. It was really lovely to see. Although technically it was a 5-day cruise, it was basically 3, because we had a sea day, we had Hamburg, and then we had another sea day. The entertainment was fine, but as I said, it is geared up to a more elderly group of people. Like, I think I would be bored, if I'm completely honest. I think as much as I enjoyed it and as much as I loved doing the 5 days, and when me and Billy went to dinner, actually, we were sat next to some passengers that had been on there for a month, and they were staying on for another 4 months. And they said that the cruise that we were on, because it's only a 5-day cruise leaving from Southampton, there was a lot of like first time Cunard people. There's a lot of people trying out Cunard to see if they like it. So it was a much younger cruise, which I'm going to be honest, I was a little bit shocked about, because I was like, because I still thought it was a more mature cruise. But he also said, because there was a lot of like first time cruises, and I think everyone goes on Cunard expecting there to be this really strict dress code, everyone made a really big effort on formal night, which brings me nicely onto the dress code. And is it really as strict as everybody says? Because there is an older clientele, people are generally more modest anyway. Like 80-year-olds don't usually walk around with the tits out. You know what I mean? Like, whereas if you go on Virgin Voyages or Royal Caribbean, you get a younger crowd, so you're gonna find more thigh and, you know, more midriffs. But because everyone's older, there's a lot more long sleeves, long trousers, and obviously we were in Hamburg, it was freezing. So all I would say is, like, during the day it was like smart casual. Even though there were people walking around in tracksuits, the general vibe was smart casual. Like, the men were wearing chinos and a nice t-shirt with a sweater on, or a polo shirt. You know, it wasn't smart, but it also wasn't like rough. And then in the evening, people really made an effort. But as I said, I do think people made more of an effort on this cruise because a lot of people were brand new to Cunard and had that expectation, just like I did, that everyone was going to be in a tux as soon as it turned 5, which wasn't the case. You know, a lot of the people that you could just tell were like regular Cunard cruisers were just wearing a shirt and pants, like no tie, no jacket. So it wasn't as strict as I thought it was going to be. The next video I'm going to do is going to be a more in-depth video on how formal Cunard is, and the outfits that I wore, what I packed, and whether I got it right or not. So stay tuned for that. But I would say during the day, the one thing that people got dressed up for was the afternoon tea. So the afternoon tea was served in the Britannia restaurant, which is like the main dining restaurant. And I'm not going to lie, this was everything I was hoping for. We got there where we were served beautiful little sandwiches. And then of course we had scones, and we got the little pots of jam and the beautiful clotted cream. And the scones were still warm as well, which was just like the cherry on top of the cake, because a warm scone with cream and jam, honestly, you just can't beat it. You really can't beat it. And every time I have a scone, because honestly it's not that often, I'm like, why don't I have these every day? Well, I'd be huge. So the afternoon tea was honestly like fantastic. All I will say though, it's very popular, as you can imagine. It's one of Cunard's iconic events. So the afternoon tea started at 3 o'clock. Me and Billy arrived at 2:55, and there was already a huge queue. But to be honest, they actually seated everyone very, very, very fast. And because it's only a few sandwiches and scones, like, everyone usually takes about half an hour to 40 minutes and then you leave. Like, it's not a big sit down meal. So, you know, there is a relatively quick turnover. So you're not going to be waiting for long, but like, I do expect a wait because basically everyone goes to the afternoon tea. But they did do it on both sea days. So, you know, we went to the one on the first sea day, which I think everyone else did as well. But for those who missed it on the first sea day, of course, they went on the second sea day, which was probably more relaxed because, as I say, I imagine that everyone went on the first sea day. And probably the more experienced Cunard cruisers went on the second day when they knew it would be quieter. But the food in general was good. I'm going to say it was inconsistent. So we'll start with the Lido buffet area on deck 9. Really lovely selection. You know, just on most cruise ships, there was a fantastic salad bar, beautiful desserts, great hot dishes. You could make your own pizza, make your own pasta. There was a great cheese and cracker selection every single day. They also had salmon every day. They had a fantastic selection of milks, you know, dairy alternative milks. They had a good gluten-free section, a good veggie section. So I was actually really impressed with the options they had. And one thing, the free coffee was actually good. So because cruise lines obviously want you to pay for the good coffee, I've noticed that the free coffee on cruise ships is usually like dirty water, like it's awful. So I was very pleasantly surprised that the free coffee was actually decent. Like, don't get me wrong, it obviously wasn't the best coffee I've ever had, but it was nice, which says a lot because I have had some awful free coffee in my time on cruise ships. So yeah, that was a big thing for me. And there was a great selection of teas and stuff. So really impressed with the Lido buffet. Great breakfast options, great lunch options. I'm going to be honest, I did not have dinner there once. We went to the main dining room every evening, apart from one evening when we went to the steakhouse. So the main dining room was good. The service was good. The waiters were fantastic. The food, again, so this is where I say the inconsistency came, because like the first night, the starter was amazing, but then the main was like incredibly salty. And I like salty food. I need to cut back, but I do like salt. So for me to say it was too salty was, it was very salty. But the dessert was great. And then, the second night, the main was incredible, but the starter was cold, but it was supposed to be hot. So there was just a few little inconsistencies, but overall the food was fine.
That's really nice.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah. You can have your wine back now.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it was great, because I don't think it was. I have to say, actually, Virgin Voyages is still the best food for me. Like, the food that they serve in the passenger restaurants on Virgin is without doubt the best food. So this was fine, but I have been spoilt. I'm going to give the food in the Britannia dining restaurant probably a 7 out of 10. Like, it was fine. We really enjoyed the experience, but like it wasn't anything to write home about. Like, I didn't leave the restaurant being like, oh my God, that was the best dinner ever. It was fine. It was good. It filled me up. It served a purpose. However, the steakhouse was amazing. I actually got a bit of a surprise while I was on board. I ran into my friend Jordan. We worked together on Virgin Voyages, and when we saw each other, we were like, what are you doing here? So he now works for Cunard, which is awesome. You may remember Jordan from my interview on Virgin Voyages. We wanted to go out to dinner to catch up, so we went to the steakhouse. And I did not have a steak, which probably should have. I had a burger, but it was absolutely fantastic. And the people that were sat next to us who did have the steak were blown away. So yeah, the Veranda restaurant, which was the steakhouse restaurant, was amazing. It was $50 a head, which, to be honest, I don't think is bad at all for a speciality restaurant. I have paid way more on other ships. But while we were on the subject of food, I just want to talk about what was included. So obviously you have the Lido buffet, you have the Britannia main dining restaurant, which is included, but also the pub grub that's served in the Golden Lion pub is also included. Room service is free. You will, of course, pay a little gratuity, but if you want to order room service, it is completely free. Now, also in the Britannia restaurant, there is an always available menu, which they don't make available. But if you are a regular Cunard cruiser, then you will know this. So if you go into the Britannia restaurant and you look at tonight's menu and decide that actually nothing appeals to you, you can always order a steak, always order chicken, and always order salmon, which I thought was amazing. You can always order a fruit plate. You can always order a Caesar salad and a bowl of chips. So those are the things that every night, always available. And then also in the chart room during the day, they serve food. It's like little sandwiches and cakes. The food is absolutely free, but the chart room is like a cafe. Well, it's a very nice cafe, but it is, it's a cafe in the day and then it turns into a bar in the evening. So of course the idea is that you go and you have the free food, the free sandwiches and cakes, and then of course you buy the fancy coffee, which I did not do. I was happy with the free coffee that was served in the Lido, but that is what's included. But all in all, I was really, I don't want to say pleasantly surprised, because that makes me sound like I was going into it with like a bad expectation. But I suppose I was. I expected it to not be my thing. Like, I expected to go on this ship and enjoy it, because how can you not enjoy a cruise? But just think to myself, like, but this isn't something that I would do. Now, there are definitely cruises that I would go on before Cunard, and I don't think I would want to do like any more than a week on there. However, people have told me that the Queen Mary that does the transatlantic, they really make a huge effort with the entertainment, because obviously you're at sea for 7 days. So, I mean, maybe I'll try that. But I am very excited for their new ship, the Queen Anne. I think I was talking to Jordan and I was talking to, a few other crew members, and they were saying, they are trying to appeal to a younger demographic. So the Queen Anne is going to have more things that appeal to a younger audience. So I I really, really would love to try the Queen Anne and see what that's all about. So we'll see. But overall, I loved it. Now, whether you should do a Cunard cruise, maybe you're watching this and you have done one, but if you are watching this thinking like, oh, I don't know if it's for me or not, if you're happy entertaining yourself, you'll love it. Just because, like I said, Royal Caribbean, especially on like the Oasis class ships, you have just got entertainment like everywhere you look. You're like, come and do this, come to this quiz, do this show, do this lesson, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's no time to be bored. Whereas on Cunard, yes, of course, there are entertainment options. But if you are more happy just being like self-sufficient and maybe going to the library and checking out a book, fantastic library, loved it, then I do think Cunard could be for you. It's very quiet, it's very laid back. And the comparison I'm going to make is with like Virgin Voyages, they say you can only enjoy Virgin Voyages if you're younger. But when I worked on there, I found that actually there was a lot of older people that cruised on Virgin. And if they were young at heart, they would actually really enjoy Virgin. However, you would have some young people come on Virgin who were, let's say, old souls, who were like, this is bloody awful. So I think if you're a young person, but you are more traditional and you are a bit of an old soul, I'd say go on go on Cunard. Like, you'll really enjoy it. However, if you do want to go on a cruise and you want it to be more of a party vibe, I mean, it goes without saying, stay away. But no, I really enjoyed it. I had a wonderful time. Me and my friend loved it. So I don't think we were too young to go on Cunard, but it is just a very different cruise experience to like the mass cruise lines like Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Celebrity. It is very British. Like it is exactly what you would imagine a British cruise to be like. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really, really hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please let me know in the comments, and also let me know what I could have done better. I obviously know filming on the phone, I don't even know if you can tell. But yeah, let me know how the footage was, if you would have preferred more of like a vlog style. I was going to do a vlog, but I forgot my microphone lead. So I was like, if I film a vlog, the sound is going to be horrendous. And I know a lot of you watch my videos with headphones in, and I was like, that ain't going to be fun for anybody. So I hope this has been more enjoyable. And like I said, please let me know. I always want to know how I can improve. If you didn't enjoy this, also let me know. How can I improve next time? But I love you so much. I really, really appreciate you being here. And I will see you in the next video where I'll be talking more in depth about the dress code on Cunard and whether I got it right or not. But yeah, thank you. Mwah.